Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies, and today I am doing a review for Marco of something that I have not seen, so I will not be able to add any commentary of my own. And this is a movie, apparently, that he watched, and he wants to share his review of it with you. So he's written it out for me to read, and like I said, Marco's under the weather and can't really talk, so that is why I am doing this, okay? Okay, this movie's called The Substance, and it's about a has-been actress who uses a new drug to clone herself. And the clone, which this makes no sense already because of the word clone, being a younger and more attractive version of herself. That is not what a clone is, so already I can see the problem. This movie is unrealistic, as Marco says. I guess I can make commentary, at least on the face of what I'm reading. There's no effing way a woman would go to all this trouble, I don't know, to keep her career as a star. I don't know about that. And this is what you have to do. You inject yourself with an unknown substance, then suffer for minutes as another person comes out of you, and finally you have to sew up a 5-foot-long scar, and then feed yourself with an IV. Really? Is someone going to do all this and go to all of this trouble? And that's really funny too, because you hear about drug addicts who just injecting themselves. That's it. They're so scared of needles. And you're talking about sewing up a 5-foot-long scar, feeding yourself with an IV, which means you would have to put a needle into your vein the right way. And I mean, I can't even imagine. So, and then every day you have to do some kind of complicated injection on your old body through the scar. Oh, ew. Very bizarre. How the F would you know how to do all this stuff? They would train you?
There's no instruction manual.
There's no instruction manual. Nobody trains you, which makes no sense. How it just we'll see what else he says here. Especially if you're paying for this. And then, and you have to switch bodies every week. I don't understand what that means. You have to go through this kind of process every week. You switch bodies every week. Meaning you just take turns? That's stupid. What a stupid concept. There's no way in hell any woman, how about anybody, would be able to handle this. And the movie is slow, really slow. It feels like a director's cut, like a multiple prom night 4s in one, which we just reviewed, and that would not be good. The new woman, Sue, is very creepy. I am hereby giving the nickname Lola Bunny to her as a tribute to Bugs Bunny from Ant-Man 3. So if you're familiar with Ant-Man 3, is it Bugs Bunny or Bugs Bunny? Oh, Marco made a typo. To Bugs Bunny from Ant-Man 3. So if you've seen Ant-Man 3 and you know what that looks like, you'll know what that's about. A lot of this movie has this boring, lousy downtime with these artsy shots. It's really exhausting. And you think to yourself, yeah, this looks good, but it's really slow. The director-writer is French, which makes it make a lot of sense. And what do you know? After the first 2 weeks, she already has a big problem. The body horror element comes from the main character being a dumb biatch. This feels like a 2-hour and 30-minute tale from the crypt episode. I find it ironic this movie is called The Substance when it is heavy on the style and low on substance. This is also a case where I feel like the story, characters, and messaging is so over the top that you can't take it seriously. It feels like it takes place in the Twilight Zone. There's this weird part in the movie where Lola Bunny gets a lump in her body, oh God, and then just reaches into her belly button and pulls it out. Guess what it is, everybody? It's an undigested chicken leg. Hey, how about that? What else can we pull out today? I don't know if that was just a dream or what. Very bizarre. That's not how anatomy works. The boss's name is Harvey. Like Harvey Weinstein? Remember him? Can the filmmakers get any less subtle about their messaging agendas? LOL. Lola Bunny continues to misuse the substance. Now, what does that mean? After the horrible incident last time, very typical, very predictable. You mean misuse like she's abusing drugs like to get high? The Elizabeth character, Marco says no, so I'm not really sure what he means by that, but she's not using the drug properly, because despite the fact he says there's no instructions on how to do these procedures, like intravenous IV medication.
She's staying out longer.
She's staying out longer. In other words, remember, she's made a clone of herself.
You have to switch every week.
And it comes out, but instead of like it staying out all the time, remember I said it actually, you have to switch every week. So the body comes back into her, and she's her old self, but she misuses and she makes the body that comes out of her stay out longer. So that's going to be a problem, I'm sure. So the Elizabeth character is aging rapidly and getting grosser and grosser. She still continues to use the substance to further the message of the movie. She doesn't even bother to leave behind a message for her other half / her clone. You'd think she could leave her a video message or something telling her to stop misusing the substance. What do you know? Her clone goes even further the next time. Not surprised. Oh my God, there's still 50 minutes left, I'm thinking when I'm doing this review and watching this movie. Oh my God. Guess what happens? Lola Bunny kills her other half. Very idiotic. Lola Bunny starts falling apart, so she clones herself. A clone of a clone. Oh my God. It's funny how this movie strives to have this feminist message, but the female characters are so dumb that the movie comes off as sexist. This is the same situation as another foreign movie I saw earlier, which made the characters really dumb, who always made the wrong decisions so they could push their erroneous messaging. The new clone and monster attends a special New Year's Eve taping. Tons of people are witness to this monster. At this point, there would be an investigation into the drug and how this happened. Wonder how no problems have occurred with this drug until now. The monster is then almost killed, but then just starts spewing out blood at everybody, like in Carrie, for example. Sound familiar? Very weird. Then, above all else, the monster explodes. Then the original person inside of the monster crawls away and conveniently dies on top of her celebrity star. That sounds like trash, everybody. And I thought, maybe I'll see this movie, but maybe I'm not. Grade. Okay, this is what Marco gave the movie. Remember, we give all movies and seasons of TV shows, not in individual episodes, but seasons. We give them a food review. So any food that stood out to us in a positive way or a bad way or in any other way, we stick it to the movie or TV season that we just saw. So he gave the movie a Tropical Smoothies New Mocha Madness. We used to go to Tropical Smoothie. Sorry. Every week, twice a week, you get a turkey sandwich, chips, and a Mocha Madness. And I didn't do that. I didn't care for the sandwiches, but I did get a smoothie. And I got a Mocha Madness sometimes, but I usually got something that had strawberries in it. Anyway, but then over time, the ingredients to this monster Mocha Madness got worse. This included their Mocha Madness smoothie, a coffee chocolate smoothie, which replaced milk chocolate with dark chocolate. Now, you know that dark chocolate is heavy and it has a little bit of a bitter flavor. So if you replace that other chocolate with dark chocolate, there's going to be a significant flavor differential. And he believed that it tasted awful. And so we don't go there anymore. He thinks the smoothie tastes like dirt. And the sandwich is just gross, which I never really liked their food. And I know I was on that pill for 10 years and it affected everything I ate. But it didn't matter. It just didn't look good when you ordered it, and I don't know. It just it's a shame, but I didn't like their food either at all. Anyway, and he just doesn't understand why they forced everyone to have a dark chocolate into their smoothie. Why did they make that choice? Because they thought it was a, quote, healthier option? Everybody should have the option to choose between a dark chocolate or a, whatever the other chocolate. So you're not forced to have this kind of bitter, heavier chocolate flavored smoothie if you don't care for it. But if they just go from one to the other, which they did, and then you have no choice, then you have no choice. That's it. So you either have to like it and drink it, or you don't drink it. And if you don't like it, why pay for it? So, anyway. So, just like this movie, everyone should have the option to do something else. Maybe he would have liked it more if it was a 30-minute tale from the Crypt episode, which actually it does sound like a tale from the Crypt episode, but not a 2.5-hour movie, which you can't get back. All that time, just can't get it back. The story was very predictable, and the way it took so long to tell itself was another example of Hollywood needing to learn how to edit themselves. And we have talked about this whether or not I've watched something or not, a lot of directors are having a hard time editing themselves. So what happens? They have all these mistakes or way too long of show, which hurts whatever's on because it's just too much. And it's better if it's clean, smooth, goes from one scene next to the next scene, and it's almost like you're giving yourself an award over and over again by not editing yourself because you think you're too good to edit yourself. You think everything you do is perfect. I mean, I don't know if that's their attitude, but it seems like it to me. So, on the bright side, Marco thought the performances were all very good. Demi Moore in particular. On the other hand, Lola Bunny basically played another variation of the character she plays in everything she's in. Charming, but crazy and irritable. I like that the movie has a lot of color in it too, which that is a good thing because they're still making movies and TV shows that I don't know what they're thinking. They're not quite black and white, but they're just gray and depressing. And even when they shouldn't be that way. It's bizarre. And finally, I liked how much violence and nudity it had. Oh boy. This movie is one of the few modern movies to not use a sex police person. In that regard, it did a good job in telling its story and hampered by censorship and restriction. I would not watch this movie again or recommend it to me, Safi. And I forgot to mention too, the movie's worst aspect, like most foreign movies, there is hardly any dialogue between characters. The main characters have 30 to 60 lines in the entire 2 hour and 30-minute movie. So, it's up to you if you want to see this movie. It doesn't sound like you should waste your time, according to Marco, because he has a lot of experience watching these kinds of things. And I'm sure that he's pretty spot on. I guess if you're a TV show maker and you want to make and you get the permission, you make new Tales from the Crypt episodes, that this would be something to consider. Either you get the director who did this movie and have him write an episode for it, or you do it yourself, or you get somebody else who can. Because it does sound like a really good, would make a good episode. Because, I've never heard of that. You making a clone of yourself. I think they kind of mess up the idea because Marco mentioned at the beginning that they have to do all these medical procedures that you're not born knowing medical procedures. You have to train to do them. And she had to do them on herself. Which, you mean, really? Do you really want to cut yourself up and, oh God, ew. And give yourself an IV? And I do know somebody who had to do that as an emergency. They were in a Tanzanian hospital and they didn't have they were on an IV. They had malaria or dysentery. And fortunately for that person, this was another anthropologist, she had worked as a medical professional in a hospital setting back in the United States. And so when her IV ran out, nobody would change it. She had this dry IV in her arm, and she's lying in bed for hours, and nobody would come and change it, so she could do it herself. Fortunately, she knew how to do it because of her own personal experience. But other than that, do you know how to put an IV in yourself? Or do you want to put an IV in yourself? Probably not. Or stitch up a 5-foot-long scar? I don't think I'd want to. Can you imagine? So anyway, that's it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Like I said, I just read what Marco had written. I tried to make it sound interesting. instead of just reading it like a boring old weirdo. And that's it. So become one of our subscribers. We have 620 or something like that. And have a good day. Bye, everybody.